Hello everyone, welcome to a review video for Amidst, or maybe Minetest. I don't know how it's really supposed to be enunciated, but it's Amidst for Minetest, a mapping and biome tool. So as you can see here on the screen, we have ta-da, a Minetest map. And this is for a world generated with mapgen v7, which it doesn't show anywhere, but that's what I generated it with. This is the random seed, and it's a world type of Carpathian. Or wait, so it's not v7, it's Carpathian. Why? I'm confused. Let's take a quick look. We're gonna go ahead and create a new world from seed. So we can enter a seed, or you can just do a random seed. Okay, so I lied, it was Carpathian. So random seed will just randomly select a seed for you and doesn't let you input it. And here we have our whole world generating. And this is, as far as I can tell, infinite. So I can keep scrolling out until I hit a 2000 node. And unless I'm mistaken, 2000 nodes is this range from there to there, which actually I guess if we just look in the corner, we would find out if that's the case or not. So the leftmost edge of this little line here is negative 851. The rightmost is 1000. So that would make that a little over 2000 nodes. So this is pretty massive, pretty gigantic. And if you look in the top right corner, right here, we get a nice little hover over showing us what biome we're on and what the coordinates are for that position. Now we have an overlays, I guess it's not overlays, highlight biomes. So these are all the biomes in the Carpathian mapgen. So say we want to see none of them, we'll just get this. And these are oceans, which for some reason oceans, these must be like the mapgen oceans or something, because you can't, they're always there, but whatever. You have oceans. I'll show you a little more what I mean by they're always there a little later on. And so you can say, okay, we want to see all the rainforests, all those green spots, all of our rainforests. Where are all the grasslands? Those are all the grasslands. Not a whole lot of tundra beaches. They're all very small areas. No, but the tundra is quite large, so I suppose that makes sense. And you can go through, Carpathian has no rivers, evidently. You can turn off oceans so we don't see them. And we have mountains, which can be turned on and off. I'm not 100% sure how it determines what a mountain is. I'm assuming it must be anything beyond a certain altitude, but the coordinates do not give us the altitude. It's just your north, south, east, west, as it were. You can also show a grid, which will tell you every... I actually didn't check this beforehand, so let's find 0, 0. Looks like it goes by 512 node spacings, which I don't believe is a map chunk, but you can see that if you want. It's super easy to turn off. And you have player icons, which I'm not sure what that does, because this isn't an actual world. We don't have the option to open a saved game. I'm not sure why, but that's beside the point. We can look at our mapgen options. So this is basically, and this is not editable currently. It may be in the future in an external file, but this is basically telling us Carpathian mapgen uses these, I guess they're mathematical formulas, huh? Your humidities, your blends, your different values, the noise seeds, all of this super technical stuff, which I don't know what it means, but you can see it, which is useful if you do know what it means. You can see a Voronoi, is that how it's pronounced? Voronoi diagram, which shows you your different biomes and like the percentage of them. And this little guy here, show distribution, Just gives you circles. I don't know what that means. Because they're different colors. I don't know what those colors relate to. But that's besides the point. We'll ignore that. The thing that's cool is the altitude slider here. I mean, that I'm sure is useful too. I just don't know what it does. So if we look at -40, everything is evidently ocean. If we go to, we have some ice sheets at a little bit below sea level. At altitude 0, which I think would be sea level, we have savanna shore, deciduous forest shore, and rainforest swamp, tundra beach, and some ice sheet, and then some more oceans. And then pretty much as we go up, there are no oceans, it looks like, at or above a height of 5. And then we have, what is this, grassland dunes that become grasslands at 6. And then pretty much as we go up beyond that, they stay the exact same. So if you are creating your own biome for a mod, or if you're doing an entirely new map gen, this is a great way to make sure that their biomes are not necessarily balanced, because you don't always want your biomes to be balanced, which we will get to in like 2 minutes. But it's a good way to see how your biomes are spread out. So say you have some that you do want balanced, like you want fairly close representation between, I don't know, your rainforests and your, I can't read what number this says. Is that a 16%? Or is that 10%? That might be 10%. I don't know. We can turn off labels. Oh, that's 13%. Okay, but so you can see what your percents are. I prefer just looking at the map to see. With that said, let's go ahead and we're actually going to go ahead and do a new seed. And because I am super creative and original, we will use the seed of hello, which is converted to a numerical seed. And we are going to go ahead and use a V7 world for this. And here is what V7 will generate with a seed of hello. Now, for the fun stuff. Say we're adding a new biome. We have Biome Profiles. So we can, right now, we're looking at what Minetest game has. But if we were using, I don't know, Mineclone 2, this is what our biomes would be. And notice, as we go through these, that didn't work. Why didn't that work? Oh, whoops. Yeah, we don't want world type, we want biome profile. If we go through these, notice how the terrain doesn't really change. It just the biomes change, but the, like where there's land, where there's water, it always stays the same. So that's neat. And again, it stays the same. So these are all of our different biomes. And again, we can, I guess I just accidentally turned them all off. We can go through and say we only want to see, I don't know what special is. It never seems to highlight any. But we just want to see the underground, which there probably won't be any of. Victorian forests. Those look slightly rare in this specific biome. How about the far north Queensland? Okay. A little more of that. It must be kind of plains or something. It could be forests. It could really be anything. Who knows? But let's go ahead and edit Biome Profiles. So when you click on that, it'll open an Explorer with the Biome Profiles. So I actually already have this file open. Ta-da! Right here. This is Minetest game. These are all of the biomes that Minetest game has. And to go through a quick little breakthrough, which is pretty self-explanatory if you actually just read this giant wall of text. We have the name of the biome, which in this first one is ice sheet. And then the color, it's represented on the map, broken down to RGB values. So 213 out of 255 red, 221 out of 255 green, and 240 out of 255 blue. Then your Y minimum and Y max. So these are the elevations. The ice sheet biome will exist down to -8, but not below, and up to 1024, but not above. Heat point is 0, and the humidity point is 73. And these two pretty much just define where on the map that this biome is going to exist. So say we're creating a mod that adds a new biome, and we want to see where it would be placed. Well, I happen to have a new biome that I created for that purpose right here. And rather than type the whole thing out, I did type it all out, but I'm just copying and pasting it in here to save a little time. You just save the file. Make sure you leave the, or you add the trailing comma if you're adding this to Minetest game, because otherwise the biome list just won't show. Then we just go here and we go to Biome Profile, reload, or we could just use the Control B shortcut. It reloads. Then we also actually have to change it back to Minetest game. And voila, we see, maybe I should have explained what I was adding. So we added a new biome called test with a color that's pure red. Y minimum 5, Y maximum 20, heat points 90, humidity is 10. So I don't know what this would be exactly. Someplace hot, but relatively dry. It's also relatively low, which is kind of silly, but it's only a test. So here we can see if we were creating a new mod that created a new biome that was in that position, this is where the new biome would exist in a map. So we can look at this and say, okay, it's relatively rare. Maybe is it too rare or is it too common? Well, I don't know. It really depends on what that biome's supposed to be. But we can go here and look at the biome Veroni. It's not going to exist at this point because that's too high. Here we go. And the point where it does exist, it looks like it's 1.8% of the total slice of the world space at that elevation. And that probably stays the same throughout its existence. Yeah, looks like it's 1.8. So that's fairly rare. That's probably a good rareness for something that's supposed to be rare. Again, your mileage may vary. It all depends on what you're actually trying to do. So this is one use of it. Well, this is like the second use now, because first was find a good spawn point without having to actually have Minetest generate the entire map, especially if you're traveling for thousands of nodes, because now you've just generated a bunch of maps to a database that it's kind of wasting space if nobody ever travels there. So it's a good way to do that. It's a good way to see where biomes will be when you are creating a mod, because say we created a mod and we put this biome in it, and say we spawned, I don't know, someplace over here. So 2,300. If we traveled this direction, we might have to go 1,500 nodes, or if we went this way, we might have to go, what is that, about 2,000 nodes to find our biome. So then for all we know, it didn't even generate. I'm like, okay, does my biome actually exist? You're just flying around it. It'd be pretty easy to miss that. If you were going on a diagonal, you might clip this one, but probably not. You could very easily miss your biome. And because I believe with biomes, once it's generated, if you change like what your nodes are in it and stuff, I don't think it changes on the map. So then you have to fly and try to find a new biome, or a newly generated biome of your biome to see how it looks now. Whereas with this, you can say, okay, well, there's one here at these coordinates. I'll just use this map seed when I create the world, and I'll just teleport to those coordinates and I'll be right in my biome. Saves me tons of time. I don't know what number this was now. Was this the fourth or the third? The next one we're getting to. If you are creating a sub-game and you're just doing an entirely brand new from scratch biome list, I've actually already set up a portal. We have a, it's very creatively called new game. Ta-da! It looks amazing, doesn't it? Now this has all of 3 biomes. We have beaches, which look like sand. We have sand that is kind of like a mustard color. And we have grasslands, which are those green ones. Interestingly, we still have these oceans, which say they're unknown. We have beach, but it's lighting up blue because it's below water, which, okay, that makes sense. Oh, that's because you have mountains turned on. Let me turn the mountains off. That gets rid of those gray things. And then we have these just unknowns, like between the sand. So let's take a quick looky-see at the biome list for this new game. So let me go ahead and delete that test one out of here. So we have beach, grasslands, and sand. Same thing as always. And we have a minimum of -5 to 15, minimum of 6 to 15, and 15 to 50. So it would be my guess that these black areas here are probably higher than 50. Or possibly they are lower than -5. That is also possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and change this to -25. And while we're at it, let me actually just pull in another window here. So this is what a biome would look like when you're registering it. And we're going to kind of convert these over. And it's actually a super easy process. So we have snowy tundra. It may take a smidgen of time to type all this out, but you're on the internet. You have nothing but time. The name is going to be snowy tundra. I don't know why I put an A there. Or not an A, a Y. Snowy tundra, we end that with the parentheses, put a comma in. The next thing we have is the color, which this is not a value that our biome list will have. You just use like an image editor to find out what color you want to use. I believe white would be close to 255, 255, 255. Wait, is that how RGB works, or is that black? I think the absence of color is black, all colors mixed is white. So 255 for each value should give us a white. I hope I'm right, because it's going to be pretty embarrassing if I have that backwards. And then our blue value at 255 as well, and then out with a curly brace, which I actually already had a curly brace, whoops, a comma. So that's our colors. Now we have our Y minimum value. That should be an underscore, not a hyphen. Colon. The lowest value that the snowy tundra will be at is what? Well, we have a Y min value in the registered biome of 12. So I guess the lowest value is going to be 12. And then the Y max value is 60 in that biome list. So we'll go ahead and use 60 because we're converting this over. Heat points. Our heat point is 10. I don't know if you have to do the trailing zeros, but I'm going to go ahead because I didn't try it without, and I'd hate for it to not work in this video here. And then our humidity point is 47. Again, I have actually no idea what these heat points and humidity points actually do, other than tell the biomes where to be placed on the map. So yeah, I'm just copying over. I set this biome up. This is from a sub game I started. I won't say I'm working on it because I'm not, but I started it. Okay, so we just added a new biome called Snowy Tundra. So let's see what happens when we go ahead and reload, or we could just hit Control B, but we didn't do that. And then, oh, it looks like we have a mistake here because the new game biome no longer exists. So let's pull that file up and see what we forgot to do or screwed up on. Okay, so after a lot of trial and error, I found my mistakes. Let's see, to start with, I forgot a comma someplace. I forget where. And then I had equals behind heat point and humidity point. Yeah, you don't need equal signs. They just, you don't do that. So now it's here. So now we can see, if we click on that, Snowy Tundra now populates in our biomes. And we can go ahead and look at all our snowy tundras. Or, well, we can look at anything. And we still have these black areas, which I don't know what they're from. But I would assume if we were to travel to one of those places, there would either be unknown nodes, or there would just be, I think stone generates in places that don't have biomes. But if we go ahead and look at the biome Veroni, we can see here we have a lot of beach, we have a lot of snowy tundra, we have a lot of grassland, and we don't have a lot of sand. There are no forests in this. Oh, and as we elevate, we become entirely snowy tundra, evidently, which is cool. And as we go down, everything becomes beach until we hit a low enough point, and the beach even exists no more. So, and I mean, you would probably have more than 4 biomes. Like, what I even have, whoops, that's the wrong window. Let me find the right window real quick here. But here we go. I have several biomes. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I have 5. It's not very practical. There's no biomes that have wood in them. Like there's no trees or anything like that. So it's really unplayable because you can't get any resources. But it just is an example. Like we looked at Minetest game. You saw how many biomes that had? Like there was a gazillion. That might be a slight exaggeration, but there are a lot of biomes in Minetest game. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's do this real quick. Okay, so we have a black area here. We're gonna zoom in, put this to the center-ish of the screen, and we're gonna go ahead and change our biome profile to Minetest game. Wow, and that just became snowy grassland. Very interesting. So my guess would be that maybe it's maybe it's temperature or humidity in this range that none of these biomes go in. That's probably what the case is. Again, with these 4 biomes, I don't really have the best of spread. Like if we look at this, we have heat points at 10, 2 with heat points at 50, 1 with a heat point at 65, and then our humidity is 70, 35, 45, and 47. So we don't really have the best of spreads going on here, and my guess would be that I don't know how big heat point is, and again I don't really know how these things work, but I'm assuming this biome just doesn't exist because its values don't come close enough to any of these values, or maybe these values are too close and it doesn't do either. I don't know how that works. But that doesn't really affect the usefulness of it. You know that you obviously have a biome problem. It doesn't really tell you what the biome problem is, but you know the problem does exist and should therefore be fixed. You just have to figure out how to fix it. So this was a overview video of Amidst for Minetest, a mapping and biomes tool made by Dr. Frankenstone. It's available for Windows, Linux, Mac, possibly others. It's a Java program, so you pretty much just download it, and assuming you already have Java on your system, it should run pretty much without any work or errors. And it is super useful if you are creating mods that add new biomes, tweaking existing biomes for, I don't know, maybe on your server that you're running somebody else's subgame, or if you are creating a subgame and you want to, create your own biomes and stuff. It's super useful to see what your biomes are going to look like, what the spread is. It's a great way to get an overview of different seeds. So if you kind of have an idea in your mind of, I want a map type that's kind of something like this for my server, you can just go through and keep generating new maps over and over and over with different seeds. It's super fast, way easier than creating new worlds in Minetest and then flying around to get a view at the worlds and get an idea of the spaces. Now, this obviously doesn't show you elevation at all. It just is a top down, but it's still pretty useful. It gives you the coordinates for the map, so you can, if you find an area you like that you want to either set some kind of hidden secret up in, or you want to make that your spawn point, it's easy to take those coordinates, transfer them to the world, teleport to that location, and start building or doing whatever it is you want to do at that location. So definitely worth checking out. I think, and I could be wrong, but if you can get the seed from a server, and I'm not 100% sure if that's visible. I've never really looked. But if you can, and you know, like if it's just pretty much running Minetest game with a bunch of mods added on, and you know what mapgen they're using, you can pretty much get a map of that world, admittedly with zero changes made to it by players. So it'd be, the world as it was generated without any changes put on it, and you can see what it is, and you could theoretically look around on that map to find a good place to put your base on this server and then travel there. Of course, you wouldn't know if somebody else already found that spot and built there, but it's a neat way to get a good overview of a map without having to travel thousands and thousands of nodes throughout the map. So hope you liked the video. Hope you like the program, which is more important than the video, because if it didn't exist, this video would have 0 points and also would not exist because there would have been no program to record it about. So go ahead and give it a download. Leave some comments for Dr. Frankenstone on things that work or don't work. And be sure to tune in next time for another Minetest video. Like and subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you next time.